Welcome to Chicago Bulls Chat with C-Red UK. This podcast is part of the Fans First Sports Network. Wherever or however you're listening, make sure to rate, review and subscribe. It helps us out and means you never miss another episode. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit the thumbs up button and leave some comments for us to get back to. And for all the C-Red UK action, check out the Discord channel and across the socials. Now, over to your hosts, Matt Hearn and Neill Dunn.
Hello and welcome back. I'm Matt, and as usual, joined by Neill. How are we doing, Neill?
I'm not too bad at all. I'm quite looking forward to this tonight, actually. How are you feeling?
Still not 100% over my man flu, but we're getting there. So I may sound a little bit croaky at times tonight and look like I'm doing something when I'm coughing. But anyway, apart from that, we'll get on with it. Obviously, not a lot happening. It is that the worst part of the off season now, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know? Very few workout videos. Couple from Kobe. Obviously, Dale and Terry's been doing a camp. Julian Phillips has been doing a camp. Vooch played in Goran Dragic's farewell game over the weekend. I believe it was back in Serbia or wherever it was. Caught highlights of it. Obviously, it was just like an all-star game, just a bit of a joke. You know, obviously, wish Dragic well in his retirement and all that. Good to see some of the players that turned out for it and what have you. Obviously, Vooch gave a bit of an interview, which I'm not going to go too much into, but I try to like Vooch, but the more I see of him and the more I hear from him, the more I dislike him. And that interview was just shut up, just get on with it. You know, we know Lonzo was out injured and that had an effect on the team. The trade talks, there's always trade talks. What's that got to do with him bricking threes and just looking like he's on his way out of the league, you know, and close to retirement? And you know, just
he doesn't think so.
Just shut up and get on with it. Do you know what I mean? And like I say, I try to like him, but he makes it hard. I don't like his off-court persona, if that makes sense. I don't like his on-court persona, to be fair, but yeah, this is considering we're going to be looking at Vooch as being one of our vet leaders. I don't know what he's leading because that sort of attitude just doesn't wash with me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no, I mean, a lot of what he said, I think he sees it as kind of shooting from the hip. But, you know, there's being honest, there's being straight up, and then there's saying the wrong thing. And I just think that there were a few comments in that interview where it was just kind of, it's not the kind of thing you want to be hearing. Okay, look, some of it is stuff that you presume is possibly what's causing some of the issues or what have you, but you don't want to hear a professional athlete that's making a huge amount of money, extortionate to some much. People for Vooch, but come out and say something along the lines of, well, we weren't playing very well because we were feeling disheartened because there were trade talks, or, you know, stuff like that, like you say, doesn't wash very well, and stuff like that as well for some people, and it tends to stick, and sticks right there. For those of you on the audio, I'm currently saying right in my groin, right in my throat, and it's hard to kind of stomach it. Yeah, kind of like that, Matt. Just like that. So, yeah, I get why it would annoy people. I get why some people probably like the fact that he's being brutally honest. Perhaps. But for me, I just like to hear my players have just a little bit more backbone, I guess.
A little bit of accountability from Vooch would be nice as well.
That's as well. It was a bit kind of, you know, like ducking the shoulders, wasn't it?
Never seems to be his fault, but you know, I mean, some of it could have been lost in translation. I imagine he did it in his native tongue, and
Yeah.
obviously trying to translate it across maybe comes across in a different way to what it was meant. But either way, he said it. So, and the last bit of news, well, it's not really basketball news, but it's Bulls related. Is Torrey Craig has been getting himself some. Ooh, I won't say it. You know, enjoying himself
Action.
with Megan the Stallion. Famously sang that song that he's getting some.
There you go.
Right, let's move on. Uh,
WAP.
yeah, Google it if you don't know what it means. I'm sure you do. If we know what it means, I'm sure the
Yeah,
younger
that's a
younger
fact.
people do.
Don't exactly have our fingers on the pulse when it comes to the youth of today.
So yeah, fair play to him. My only concern with it is it doesn't become too Tristan Thompson.
Right.
The whole reality side of things and stuff like that, which, I'm sure Torrey Craig is a different personality to Tristan Thompson. And I mean, he's only got a year left anyway, so whatever, enjoy yourself.
Help support the podcast and the brand at Red UK by heading to our merch site, where you'll find a variety of designs on things like mugs, t-shirts and hoodies, including our Bulls Ellis and Flop of the Fro, with plenty more designs still to come. Link is in the description.
Yeah, obviously, if you listen to last week's episode, you'll know that we had Tony Gill with us. If you haven't listened to it, go back and listen, or ideally watch it on YouTube while you subscribe to the channel and all that good stuff. And on that episode, we asked him for his Red UK award predictions. And obviously, we did mention that we were going to do ours this week. We know how much Bulls Nation are eagerly anticipating the biggest part of Bulls Nation. We've got our own predictions to drop. We've got 3 bold predictions, and we've got a new little thing that we're going to run for the first time this year. So where do you want to start, Neill?
I think we should leave the bold predictions till the end anyway.
Right, so we'll go with the award predictions first then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, for anybody who's not familiar with it, this is the 3rd time we've been doing it. What we do is give our predictions for the Red UK Awards: Unsung Hero, MVP, and Most Improved. Like I say, 3rd year of doing it. At the end of the season, what we do is we put out the polls, find the winners. I get to create a graphic. We get to talk about it. Bit of fun. Massive part of Bulls Nation, as I just said.
Highly influential.
Obviously, I will put out posts on the socials and stuff like that, or in the Discord if you're in there. If not, the link's down below, or should be. Get involved. We want to know your predictions for them as well. Obviously, we'll talk through what the awards are actually supposed to be. First one is the Unsung Hero. Now, this one confuses people for some reason. Basically, it's the player that just goes under the radar, gives everything every night. Last year's winner was Alex Caruso, which last year he probably didn't deserve it, but he is also the epitome of what the award is meant to be. Whereas the year before it was Kobe White that won it. So yeah, basically the player that just goes under the radar, but does a lot that stand out in a way as well. I think I've predicted Andre Drummond and Torrey Craig the last couple of years for it. And obviously neither of them won it. Obviously, we do give our votes at the end of the season as well, as you know. And as I said to you before, I've struggled with these awards this year because this team we don't know what this team is.
Yeah.
In the past, you've kind of known who's got what role,
because it didn't change for years.
Yeah, where in the rotation players are going to be, and you could kind of figure it out. Whereas at the minute, it's, you know, what's the priority? Is the priority being competitive? Is it, well, not tanking, but losing? Is it boosting Zach's trade value, which then, you know, if you're trying to boost Zach's trade value, surely that's going to make him the best player on the team. But then, will Bulls Nation see Zach as the best player on the team? Do we want to see Zach as the best player on the team? You know, so yeah, I've struggled a little bit. I've flipped and flopped and changed my mind, God knows how many times. And we have actually also created some nice fancy little graphics. So if you are on the audio, get on the YouTube and look at the graphics, because, you know, we've spent a lot of time and effort creating them for your pleasure, or just because it gives us something to do mainly. So yeah, the Unsung Hero. I'll let you go first with your.
Okay.
Bear in mind, we haven't spoke about this either, so we don't.
No, we haven't. We've completely kept this from one another. So if they're completely different, great. If they're exactly the same all the way through, well, that just goes to show that we're kind of in tune with each other. But I wouldn't expect them to be too similar, but we'll see. Okay, so Unsung Hero then. This is one that I kind of did struggle a bit with. Went back and forth on a few different people, but I've decided to park the bus on Julian Phillips.
Okay.
I just think that if he comes off the bench and injects that energy, you know, a couple of big dunks, a couple of blocks, like we've seen him do in the past, I think he has that ability to lift the team a little bit when he comes on, kind of like the way Javonte did. And for that reason, that's why I decided to go with Julian Phillips.
Yeah, I've struggled with this one. I had somebody in mind, then I've completely changed it. Then I had somebody else in mind, and I've changed it again. And in the end, I've gone for Jalen Smith.
Okay.
Tends to be a bit of a trend with how I vote. Obviously, like I said, Drummond first off, Torrey Craig, and now Jalen Smith. And my thinking behind it is, he's our backup big.
Mm-hmm.
Well, possibly, depending where Billy decides to play him. And I think he just offers more than what Drummond did. He offers some of what Drummond did, but offers more than what Drummond did as well. As in, he can actually shoot a three. You know, I don't think Drummond shot any threes in his time as a Bull, did he? Apart from them three that he hit.
Did he shoot one?
He hit three in pre-season, didn't he? Against
but
Raptors.
I think he shot one in the regular season and missed it, I think.
Yeah, that's how memorable it was. You know,
Anyway,
so I think, I'm not saying that Smith's going to push Vooch for the starting role, and I don't think he really needs to get the Unsung Hero. But I think he's a bit more athletic.
Mm-hmm.
He's obviously can defend the rim to an extent, and hopefully he can hit the three at a decent clip for us as well, coming off the bench. And I think it's just going to give us something a little bit different at that five than what we're used to seeing.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, Jalen Smith is my vote.
Mm-hmm. Good one.
Next one is the most improved. Now, Kobe White has won this for the last 2 years. I can't remember. I don't think I actually voted for him last year. I think I went for Ayo. But yeah, most improved. Obviously, as it says, the Bulls' most improved player. Who gets your vote?
I'm going to stick with my guy for one more season. This is his opportunity. This is his chance. The dynamic of the team has changed and theoretically should benefit him, especially with the likes of Giddy distributing the ball. So I'm going to go for Patrick Williams. He's got his contract now. He's going to have more of an opportunity on the floor to get the ball in his hands a bit. And therefore, I'm going to say if he doesn't pick up some weird, unlucky injury again, Patrick Williams is going to be my most improved because the bar is low.
Yeah. And I think mine kind of follows suit with that, with the bar being low. My vote is Dale Terry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of Bulls fans are out on him, calling him a bust in the same way they do P. Will. But we've kind of been hanging on with him.
Yes.
And I think the thing with, I mean, I've got a bit more to say about Dale in my bold predictions later on.
So do I.
And I think the thing with when you watch Dalen is you actually have to watch him to appreciate him. A lot of people seem to be following a narrative about him that he is a bust, and because of that, they only see the bad things that he does. They don't actually see the good things that he does. You know, they don't see like the energy, the defense, and all that sort of stuff. It's like, well, you can't hit a three. All right, well, what about everything else he's doing? You know, so yeah, my vote is Dale Terry, and I did flip with that one a couple of times as well, but
yeah,
more will become clear when I give my later predictions where my thinking was. And the last one is our most valuable player, and as it says on the tin, it is our most valuable player.
Yep.
First year it was won by Zach. Second year it was won by Damar. So that kind of shows you where Bulls have been at for the last 2 years. Obviously, Damar has now gone.
Yep.
Zach is hopefully coming back, but not coming back, but been good. If yeah, like I said at the start,
unknown quantity.
Yeah, Zach's going to be whoever you want him to be. I think this year. Whether that's good or bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, your prediction for our most valuable.
Well, ironically, I was flip-flopping on this one as well, a bit indecisive on it, and I was actually tempted to say Zach LaVine, but the only reason, because I do think that he will ball out in a Bulls jersey. However, the reason why I didn't go for Zach LaVine is because I don't see him completing the season with the Chicago Bulls. And that was the main reason why I didn't go with Zach. So I went with our guy that has proved himself over the last 2 years in particular, and that's Kobe White. It's not necessarily that I see him improving the way he has done over the last couple of years again for another year, but if he improves himself even slightly with the way the dynamic of the team is going to change, and the ball is going to come to Kobe a lot more, with him not having to have the responsibility of always carrying the ball or giving it to DeMar, he'll have the opportunity to be that kind of hot, streaky kind of shooter that he can be, and get hot, and kind of go on these spells where he's hitting three after three after three. And for that reason, I decided to go with Kobe.
Well, what you just said about him there and what I've got to say later on is going to show that we've not conferred in any of this whatsoever.
Okay.
And we've matched no players on this part of it so far, because my MVP vote is Josh Giddey.
Wow.
And I was tempted to go with Zach as well, but I was kind of thinking 50% of Bulls Nation won't vote for him, whether he's here or not. So I kind of thought, well, but same as you, I think he will ball out. And that's why I've gone for Giddey. Everyone knows how high I am on Giddey anyway. I think he's coming in with something to prove. He's obviously going for his money, basically. I think he's quite excited to be in Chicago. podcast with him earlier today from Australia. And at the end of the day, he's 21 with 3 years' experience in the league. The Olympic experience, I think, is going to be a major factor for him as well. Learning to get over that disappointment and what it is to lead a team, basically, as the main guy on it. And I'm not saying he's going to be the main guy in Chicago, but I think if he can get back to averaging a near triple-double, Bulls fans are just going to love him. And I think we're just going to see how important he is. I'm not going to say too much because it does go into one of my bold predictions later on as well. So, yeah, my MVP prediction is Josh Giddey.
Very good. Yeah. Go on.
Now, obviously, I don't know if you've got anything else on them, on the awards.
No.
The new one that we are bringing in, and again, you can drop it in the comments, your prediction for it, your opinion on it, your opinion on what we've just said, or put it on the socials, and it is our player to watch. Now, like I say, this is a new one. Obviously, it is a Bulls player to watch. And basically, it's who we think is, I guess, going to be a bit of everything. Or maybe a point to prove, or I don't know. Just any reason why you feel like there's a player to watch in particular on this team. Probably not going to done a very good job of selling what we're trying to do there, but I think when we give
someone to keep an eye on.
Yeah, when we give our explanations for our predictions, then maybe it becomes a bit clearer. So again, I'll let you go with yours.
Okay, so I was very, very tempted to go with Dalen Terry on this. Very, very nearly did. But I just think because he is new, and for a lot of Bulls fans, he is a real unknown quantity, and in some respects is coming in with a negative narrative. That's quite hard to say, negative narrative. Anyway, for that reason, I've gone for Josh Giddey as my player to watch. I just think he's going to surprise a lot of people in Bulls Nation. It's not you, I know, especially people who didn't follow any of the Olympics, or at least any of Australia in the Olympics. And I think, he's coming off the back of this negativity about him because he was sat for the playoffs. Then there's the whole personal thing, which I wish would just go away because, it's null and void. And I just think he's got a lot to prove. Coming in, he's fighting for a contract as well, of course. And he's going to be given the ball. It's plain and simple. The ball is going to be put into his hands and he's going to be asked to be the general on the floor. And for that reason, I'm saying keep an eye on him. Wait till you see what this kid can actually do. And wait till you see the passes that he is able to pull off when they can go to players who are ready for it and capable and competent enough to catch the ball and do something with it, which he didn't have a lot of in the Australian team. No offense to any Australian listeners. You know who you are, Troy. But he just didn't have enough talent around him on that team. And you could see a lot of what he was doing wasn't quite working for that very reason. And I just think it's going to be so much better at an NBA level with the position he's going to find himself in. So.
Yeah, I mean, you won't get any arguments from me on that. So,
didn't think of it.
Like I say, is my vote for the MVP. So, my player to watch, and again, I was going to go with Dalen on this, but chose not to, and I've actually gone with Ayo for it. And the reason is because I could quite easily have put Ayo for any of the awards that we've just said.
Yeah.
And again, I think unfortunately, I think Ayo just falls victim to this not knowing where we are as a team, not knowing where he fits in this new team. You know, is he going to be sixth man? Is he going to be starting? You know, if he starts, who's on the bench, sort of thing. But I think obviously the step we saw him take last year he'll take a bigger one this year. And like I say, I could quite easily have put him down as the unsung hero, but then I think he won't be the unsung hero because it's going to be very noticeable what he does. Most improved, I don't think he improves all that much on last year, but he will improve again. And like I say, he could quite easily be my MVP. I just don't think he gets the right amount of usage to be our most valuable player.
Yeah.
However, Ayo will come up again in my predictions later on. So yeah, my player to watch
A lot of that going on, isn't there?
Yeah, is Ayo Dosunmu. So the last bit of our predictions, we have got 3 bold predictions. Again, we've not discussed them. I think you kind of know what one of mine is, though, because I have mentioned it in the past here.
Right.
Now, we did this last season, and then we kind of forgot to go back over them.
Well, one of them got mentioned quite a bit during the course of the season.
Yeah, your Caruso one.
Yeah.
You know, which fair play, you called it. I don't think. I think 2 of mine, possibly, depending on how you look at it. I think I had Bulls fans would be screaming for Julian Phillips to be in this team, or the starting, or not in the starting lineup, but in the rotation at the end of the season. Obviously, was ruined by injury. However, I think if he was still there would have been.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, they are now. So, and the other one that I think could possibly have been kind of true was that I would be sick of hearing about Patrick Williams at the end of the season, which I didn't get a chance because his season ended in January. But yeah. So
happy birthday, P. Will, by the way.
Yeah, for the other day. He's now 23. No more excuses.
No.
Let's see what he's got.
He's hit the magic number now, 23.
Yep. He's a vet. He's a vet of the league now, isn't he? So no more. Now the idea of the bold predictions is things that may seem slightly unrealistic, but could also realistically happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not going to be something like Bulls win the 7th championship because that's just very unrealistic and
pie in the sky.
Yeah, and you'll get the idea of where we're going with it when we read them out. Again, if you've got any bold predictions, drop them in the comments, drop them on the socials, wherever. You know, we won't take the piss too much, but we just like to collect people's receipts. So
definitely.
But no, it is all just. If
somebody gets something that's quite out there and it comes to be true, we will definitely give them a mention again.
Yeah.
Later on in the season, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and at the end of the day, it's just all opinion, and at the end of the day, nobody knows. So, nope. Do you want to go first with yours, or?
Sure, I'll go first. Seeing as that's been the pattern of the day.
Yeah.
So my first bold prediction is, and the way I've done it is I've kind of started off slightly more realistic and got a little bit more kind of bold as they go on, really. So the first one I've got is that Lonzo Ball will not see a starting role for the Bulls. I don't think he'll make the starting lineup at any point.
Yeah, I can see that, and I really wouldn't be disappointed if it comes true either. You know my feelings on where we're at with that one. So yeah, quite an easy start with that one.
Like I said, I've started easy enough and working my way up.
Yeah, now you've thrown me now. I don't know if to start easy or just go in hard straight away.
Depends. What's your normal angle of attack?
I'll go with that one. Wrote them down, and I think this one a lot of people will disagree with me. This is the one that you've probably got a rough idea on.
Right.
And I did say before we went off on holiday that I had quite a take on Dale and Terry.
Mhm.
And, well, this is it. And it's quite hard to know how to word it properly. But in the end, I went with Dale and Terry is more productive than Matas Buzelis this season.
Right.
And that's not me trying to knock Buzelis in any sort of way. But we did say after Summer League, just curb your expectations on him. You know, you've got Bulls fans running away with he's going to be Rookie of the Year, blah blah blah. Now I'm excited by him.
Mhm.
I just don't think it's going to be this season. I think he's going to be just finding his feet a little bit. You know, yeah, he's got the attitude, he's got the confidence, he's got all of that leads to make him a good, well, an essential player for Bulls.
Yeah.
However, I just don't think he's got the skill set right now to become that high impact. And something else that I've asked you before, and we didn't really get into it that much, was what's the difference between Buzelis and Terry? You know, in terms of why are Bulls fans so out on Dale and Terry, yet so hyped about Buzelis? What is it about Buzelis that stands out over Dale and Terry?
I suppose it's the excitability factor of the way he finishes at the rim and the fact that he's perceived as being, as in Dalen Terry's perceived as being a terrible shooter.
Right, so
But Matas didn't shoot particularly well when you actually break it down.
And this is where my argument is with it, because Dale and Terry's got the same amount of confidence as Buzelis.
Right.
He will rip the rim down if he gets chance, same as Buzelis will. Yeah, there's major flaws to Dale and Terry's game, but I think Buzelis has got the same major flaws, as in the 3-point shot. They don't seem to be able to create their own shot that much off the dribble. And if you actually look at the stats in the G League, now obviously it is the G League, but it's the only place where they've both played sort of competitively that you can compare them. And I mean, Buzelis last year had played 34 games, averaged 14.1 points. He was 26% from three, 6.6 rebounds, 1.9 assists, 1 steal, 1.9 blocks a game. Not bad. I know the different positions and the teams were different and all that sort of stuff, different roles, all that kind of stuff. But Dale and Terry, you know, this is combined the showcase and the regular season for the G League. And I didn't go on last season because Dale didn't really play in the G League all that much. But the year before, 13 games, 14.4 points, so slightly higher than Buzelis, 40% from three on similar attempts, 7 rebounds, so higher than Buzelis, 4.5 assists, so a lot higher than Buzelis, 1.4 steals, so higher than Buzelis, and I didn't get his blocks, but you know, we know that Dalen can be a very good defensive player as well. You know, so yeah, it's the G League, yeah, the different roles and stuff like that. But what Dalen, for me, now has over Buzelis is NBA experience.
Yeah.
You know, not a lot of it, granted, but I think at the end of last season, he got himself in the rotation. This off season, there's nobody working harder than Dale and Terry.
Yeah.
No, or putting the videos out anyway. You know, the shot's looking a lot better.
It is.
You can see the work ethic, which, you know, everyone's saying that Buzelis has got and all that sort of stuff. Well, to me, Dalen's ahead of Buzelis because he's got history now. Whereas Buzelis is coming in as a, well, what is he?
He's a rookie.
You know, yeah. So I'm not saying Buzelis isn't going to play and Dalen's going to play over him. I think it's going to be a steady rotation of minutes, and you know, I hope that Buzelis does do well, and then he's allowed to play through mistakes in the sense where Dale and Terry wasn't.
Yeah.
And I just think that the two of them, the personalities, is going to make that rivalry. Because I see Dalen as a 3. I don't see him as a guard anymore. So I think they're competing for them backup minutes, and I think we're going to see a rotation between them. And I think it's going to be good, friendly competition, which personally I think Dalen comes out on top on.
Nice.
So there is method behind my craziness.
Yeah, I'm sure. It makes a lot of sense, and you'll see now why I didn't say too much on it when we go on to our bold predictions number 2. Because for my bold prediction number 2, I have said Dalen Terry will take a leap and become a fan favourite. So not a million miles away from what you were saying, and not to be doubling up on a lot of what you were saying. I didn't take the route of kind of comparing him or competing him against Matas, but at the same time, from what we've seen from these workout videos, and look, granted, we all get it. It's in a gym. It's not. We have to see it actually applied on an NBA floor during an NBA game. But Dalen's shot looks a hell of a lot smoother. The mechanics seem to be a lot better than they were. The elbow's not going all janky anymore. It's looking like it's much better, much smoother fluidity to his shot. And he's hitting threes. And it seems to be what he's concentrating on an awful lot is shooting the 3 ball, shooting the 3 ball, shooting the 3 ball. Because I'm sure that someone, if not everyone, has said to DT, if you really want to impact this team, concentrate the most on 2 things: defense and the 3 ball. Because if he becomes a steady, strong 3-and-D energy guy, which we know he has the energy in spades, we know he can come on and influence in a couple of minutes opportunity that he does get, because he doesn't, or previously doesn't get huge minutes, right? So if he comes on and starts to impact the game in that way, where he can stop on the defensive end, or at least cause problems on the defensive end, and then run the floor and hit a 3, or get into spacing for a 3, or even create spacing by becoming a 3-point threat and then dishing the ball off, because we know he can distribute the ball well, Dalen Terry is suddenly going to start climbing more and more in people's eyes, and most importantly, in Billy Donovan's eyes. And for that reason, I think because he's such a likable character, if he just roughs out smooths out the rough edges that little bit more, DT is definitely going to be something to enjoy going into this season.
Yeah, and just quickly back to sort of some of the points I was making. Something as well that I've mentioned to you is regards to the workout videos. Now, I know not every workout's published and stuff like that, and they only show you what they want to see or what they want you to see, should I say. But Dalen Terry's been with everybody. That sounds a bit like Torrey Craig. But, like in terms of NBA trainers, he goes around, he gets himself around. Obviously, he's been running his own camps. I know Buzelis is meant to be running a youth camp later on in the summer.
Yeah.
But what I don't like with Buzelis is every workout video I've seen of his is with the same NBA trainer. And I get it. It's the comfort zone, maybe. It's where he feels he's obviously learning and stuff like that. And he might be working out with other trainers. He probably has done in the past. But I just want to see it. I want to see him out there working with other NBA players. I want to see it rather than his brother. I want to see him working with different trainers, getting out of his comfort zone and expanding his game, basically. Do you know what I mean? And because I think that's what Dalen Terry's done. He's, people keep saying that they want to see him with Johnny Dribble too much. He's been with him.
Yeah,
there's been videos of him with him. He's been with the Guard Whisperer or whatever his name is. He's been with the guy back in Arizona, Coach T. Mill or whatever his name is. So that's just what I want to see from Uzelis as well. Is just get out of your comfort zone and expand your game.
Well, I think that could quite easily happen. At this stage, I guess he hasn't really made those NBA connections yet. Now, I know he could probably get them through the other players, but I mean, he doesn't really know the players yet either, right? So, I mean, I know he is in his comfort zone and he's probably staying in that a little bit, but I give him the benefit of the doubt there because I just think he needs to go through training camp and he needs to go through preseason with the team, with the squad, with the players, make those connections, get the information he needs to get from those players, and kind of find out a new direction for himself. Because even though he's come from the G League and he claims that that makes him NBA ready, not sure that I agree with that, but he claims that it makes himself in a position where he can just slot straight into the NBA. It's not that simple. We know it's not that simple, or else more players would be doing it. And for that reason, I think give him the first year. I think first year Matas and second year Matas will be a very different animal.
Oh yeah, definitely, and that's why I've got DT above him this year.
Right. Absolutely.
So my bold prediction number 2.
Yes.
And this one hurts to say for me personally. But I think the headline is going to make it sound worse than my method. And it is Kobe White regresses in 24-25.
Ooh.
Now, anybody who's listened to us the whole time we've been waffling on in the past however many years knows that I've been driving the Kobe White train.
Very much.
And I've enjoyed it. And, you know, at the minute, I'm just kind of sitting back and letting everybody else get on the train and finally catch up. And I think Kobe White regresses in 24-25 is probably harsher than what it sounds, or sounds harsher than what it actually is, should I say. And what I mean by it is, I think stat-wise, he drops because mainly he's not getting as many minutes as he did last year.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, there's too many players on the team that are going to need the ball ahead of him. People keep saying, "Oh, well, Damar's gone, so it's Kobe's time." Well, we've now added Josh Giddey, who needs the ball. You know, so Kobe, when he was getting the assists last year as the point guard, if he hasn't got the ball to do it because Josh Giddey is one of the best at it, or he's probably going to be the best on the team at it, you know, Kobe's assist numbers are going to drop. Points wise, we know that Kobe can be a massive point scorer. We've now got Zach LaVine back, who is probably our most prolific point scorer in the last however many years. So them assists from Giddey are more likely to go to Zach than they are to Kobe. So I think Kobe will still be in the starting lineup, probably as the 2 guard if you want to put a position on it. But I think he's kind of like the odd man out. And it wouldn't surprise me as well if at some point we see him drop to the bench to try and control that second unit and put Ayo into the starting lineup for a bit more defensive sort of prowess. And when I say that he's going to regress, I think we're just going to see the maturity in Kobe's game. I think he's going to realise that he doesn't have to do everything. He can go stand wide open and hit the 3. You know, he can cut to the rim and get on the end of some of Giddey's assists, but he doesn't have to be the guy as he tended to be. And I think because obviously his minutes are going to drop, his usage is probably going to drop, we see a more consistent version of Kobe. Where in the past we've seen him up and down, even last season, you know, one night he could drop 30, 40 points, and the next night it's like, well, where the hell's Kobe gone? You know, whereas I think he just levels. And when you look at like last season, he averaged 19.1 points, 5.1 assists, 4.5 rebounds, and that was in 36.5 minutes. obviously they were all career highs for him. Now in year
Yeah.
2, when was the last time that Kobe actually got some starts or a prolific starting role, he averaged 31.2 minutes, 15.1 points, 4.8 assists, and 4.1 rebounds. So not that far off last season. And I think this season he just sits somewhere in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite as many points, but maybe slightly more than in year 2. So around about 16.5, 17, something like that. Assist wise, maybe 4.5 assists, something like that. Rebounds, I think he'll drop in rebounds because Giddy will take over the rebounding as the guard and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean it's going to be a bad version of Kobe.
Mm-hmm.
I think we see a more, like I say, more leveled, more consistent version of him. But to people who are not watching the games, it looks like he's regressed.
Right. Yeah. I guess it all makes sense what you're saying there. I actually think, for obvious reasons, his assist numbers are definitely going to be sacrificed. And on the contrary to what you said, I do think his usage is going to go down as well. But on the contrary to what you said there, I actually think his scoring could go up by a couple of points a game, because he'll have the opportunity for off-ball scoring. And I think that the ball is going to be given to him in positions where we know that he can just start putting it up and getting hot. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, thing is, I'd be happy with that as long as it's consistent.
Level. Yeah, that's it.
You
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
if he's putting up 6, 7 3-point attempts a night and he's hitting 3, 4 of them,
Yeah.
as well as getting to the rim, quite regular and stuff like as he did last season, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And his points do slightly drop, but you've now got Zach putting up 25 points a night instead of DeMar doing it. But then you've also got Giddy that could possibly put up 15 points a night.
Mm-hmm.
Your guy P. Will could turn into that guy.
Yeah.
And Vooch can just be out there pouting about something and smashing towels off chairs and
Picking up
stuff.
chairs,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I say, these are just bold predictions that could come true, could not. So
Yeah. Bit of fun,
who
right?
knows? Yeah, like I say, I'm not saying I'm expecting a bad year for Kobe. I just don't think it's going to be as last year. I'm just leveled out now with Kobe. I'm not expecting any ups or downs, and
Well, see, the thing is, the level of trajectory that he's been on, that's almost impossible to sustain that over, 3 seasons. So realistically speaking, it has to plateau at some point.
And for me, the biggest thing with Kobe is the leadership. That's the
Yes,
thing that he took a massive step in last year.
definitely.
And being the leader doesn't necessarily mean you're the best player or you've got to have the ball in your hands to do it. And I think Kobe leads the team in that way where he can. He knows that if he's not hot to get it to somebody else, he's not scared to do that. And I think that's the sign of a good leader. And rather than watch me go put 50 points up against Pistons in a loss, so.
So, on to the last one.
Yep.
Bold prediction number 3. And this is the one that's a little bit more kind of out there and risque for me. And that is that Josh Giddey will lead the league in assists.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said there a few minutes ago, Kobe White's assist numbers are obviously going to fall. Josh Giddey is going to see more minutes than he would have seen previously in his NBA career with the Chicago Bulls. I think he's going to get a lot of floor time, more than capable of dishing the ball. And I just think his average assists across the course of the season are just going to improve and improve and improve as the rest of the team get more kind of au fait with the way he distributes the ball. and for that reason, I think the Bulls are going to play quite fast. They're going to play quite exciting basketball, even though it's not going to be necessarily winning basketball. And I think Josh is going to put up quite a lot of assist numbers. And for that reason, I think he could take the crown of the assist leader of the NBA.
Yeah. Doesn't help us tank, but...
Well, it doesn't help us tank, but we still have to win the games in order to not tank.
We are tanking.
Well, are we?
Yeah. Tanking for flag, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll cover that in a later episode.
Yes, I think that's for another day.
Yeah. Now, my third one, and this is probably, I don't know, maybe my lamest one, my bold prediction number 3, and it is that Bulls fans are calling for Ayo Dosunmu to be 6th man of the year. In the same way that we were calling for Kobe to be most improved. Like I said before, Ayo's my player to watch. He could quite easily have took any of the award predictions as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think he's going to be that versatile for us in the same way that Caruso was, coming off the bench as that 6th man, that the only thing that stops him getting it is the fact the Bulls are losing. Because obviously to win the awards helps if your team's winning.
That's the thing.
But that's not going to stop Bulls Nation crying out for him to be 6th man of the year.
That's true.
So, yeah, I'm expecting a big year for Ayo, if you haven't gathered. So, yeah.
I picked it up there.
So, yeah, that's our bold predictions. Now, like we said, leave some comments, leave your predictions in the comments on YouTube, whatever. If not, I will be putting the posts out on the socials at some point after this goes out. Get involved on there and share the post around and get as many people involved as we can, because we want as many receipts as we can. Yeah. Now, we have got some guests hopefully lined up in the next few weeks. We will get their predictions as well, because we like to get the predictions of our guests. And we like to keep the receipts, and we like to go back at them if they are a returning guest. So, yeah. But that's it. We've kind of started our look ahead to the 24-25 season. So, like I said, we have got some guests lined up, not confirmed yet, dates, times, whatever. Yeah. So next week it could just be us two. Next week we could have a guest. Who knows? Guess you'll have to come back and find out. And if you've got nothing else,
no, I'm all good.
Yeah, nothing else from me. Good luck to Torrey Craig in his new relationship. And we'll be back next week. Until then, I've been Matt. You can find me on Twitter at MattCRedUK, and you can find us on all the socials at CRedUK.
And you find me on Twitter at NeillCRedUK. On behalf of Matt and myself and the Fans First Sports Network, thanks once again to everyone for tuning in. From us both, do remember it's a Chicago Bulls thing wherever in the world you are. Until next time, see you, Red people, and go Bulls.
Help support the podcast and the brand at CRED UK by heading to our merch site, where you'll find a variety of designs on things like mugs, t-shirts and hoodies, including our Bulls Ellis and Flop of the Fro, with plenty more designs still to come. Link is in the description.